lovelies, welcome back. This is Learn Biology with Annie and I am Blessing. In this video, we are going to be looking at the reproductive system in plants. In the previous video, we looked at the reproductive system in humans, where I did outline the system in the male humans and the system in the female human, right? I also talked about the reproductive cell in male and the reproductive cell in female. Can you remember? The reproductive cell in male is the spermatozoa. The reproductive cell in the female is the egg cell or the ova. I hope you can still remember that. Now, in this video, we will be looking at reproductive system in plants. Alright, just like humans, plants also have reproductive organs. What is the reproductive organ in a plant? The reproductive organ in a plant is the flower. Yes, the flower, you know, is the reproductive organ, the reproductive structure in plants. Now, do they also have the male and the female parts? Yes, the flower also have the male parts of a flower and the female part of a flower. That is, if it is one single flower. One single flower can contain the male and the female parts. The female part is called the gynoecium and the male part is called the androecium. Okay, and we can have some plants that have a male part separate, that is a male flower separate and a female flower separate. For instance, you can have a single plant that have the male flower and the female flower differently on that single plant. For example, the maize. A maize plant has the male parts of the flower and the female part of the flower in one maize stand. Do you understand? That's the flower of the male flower in the maize is that part you see at the tip of the flower when the plant is about to produce grain or to produce fruits. That part you see on the top there is the male flower, and then the part you see by the side that look like somebody carrying a baby, that tender part of it, when it's still very tender, it has not yet developed into a corn or a maize. That small one with a kind of hair-like structure, that is the female flower in the maize. Did you get that? So that is a plant that has both the male and the female flower in one plant stand. Then we have some plants that the male flower is in a different plant and the female flower is in a different plant. For example, pawpaw. We have a male pawpaw with a male flower and you have a female pawpaw with a female flower. Alright? So when there is pollination between the two, the female flower or the female pawpaw can then begin to produce. The male pawpaw don't produce fruits. Only the female pawpaw produce fruits. Okay? So apart from this, we also have some plants like the hibiscus and the pride of Barbados that have just one single flower and the male and female parts in that single flower. Now, what are the components of the male part of a flower? The male part of a flower comprises of the anther, the pollen grain, and the filament. The filament is the strand that carries the anther and the pollen grain. The anther is a kind of knob found at the top of the filament. All right. Then inside the anther are the male sex cell, the male sex gametes. They are called the pollen grains. Okay. So in flower, the male sex cell is called the pollen grains. Now, in the female flower of a plant, the parts of the female flower is or the part of the female, the components of the female parts in the flower is we call them the stigma. That is the stigma, the style, and the ovary. The stigma, the style, the ovary. All right. The stigma is the tip of the parts, the female part of the flower. The style is the structure, the tube that attaches the stigma to the ovary. The ovary is the part below where you have the ovules. The ovules are the sex cell, the female sex cell of a flower. This just like in female humans, right? The ovary carries the egg. So in the plant, the female plant, the ovary in the female plant carries the eggs in the female plant, and those eggs are called ovule. Is that understood? So when the pollen grains, meet with the ovules of the female part, it produces what we call fertilization. Do you understand that? Fertilization occurs, and once fertilization occurs in plants, it results in fruits formation of fruit, and then the fruit will have a seed inside, right? A normal fruit, when you're done chewing your fruit, you have a seed inside. That seed can then be planted. When you plant the seed, you now have a new plant. So the two plants now, or a single plant having the male and the female part in one flower, have produced a new plant. So that is briefly reproduction in plants. I hope you have learned one or two. If you have any question about this video, please let me know in the comment section, and I'll meet you again in another video. Bye bye for now.